All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. It is Thursday, December 12th, 3:46 p.m. And folks, I'm standing. Why? Because I just got done from a meeting where I was standing and I really didn't feel like sitting down. So I'm standing and we're going to do the whole show live while I'm standing. So here we go. We haven't done this for like 3 weeks, but we're back. We're going to be standing. That's why I got this standing desk. And kind of switches things up. I just don't feel like sitting down, dude. I have too much energy. I'm ready to move. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. All right. So number one is Broadcom and Costco earnings are going to be happening after the bell. So we'll be discussing that. Jose will be joining the show in a bit, and we're going to be getting his thoughts on Broadcom earnings, Costco earnings. Let me know in the chat if you own Broadcom and Costco. Again, very important companies. We're going to go through some of their numbers in a second. But those are kind of the end of earnings. I mean, after these two companies, I think there's one or two more. And after that, we're done for really 2024 and definitely for Q3 earnings. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Outside of that, we've had some very interesting things happen in the market today. We're looking at Robinhood right here, $39.11. We hit $40.19. There was a flash crash, which I still don't know why. Maybe it was an insider sell. Maybe it was algorithms. All the way to 35.62. I actually have a bunch of people who messaged me saying that they got their bids filled in that 35, 36 range because of that opening bell. And we then recovered all the way up to 40. Now we're at 39.11, up about 3.3% on the day. Bitcoin at 100,000 is good, but Bitcoin was at 102,000. And as a result of that $2,000 decline, we are seeing some problems in the crypto market. In particular, MicroStrategy getting hit hard today, down 5%. Now, one of the reasons MicroStrategy is down is because Saylor is selling shares, aka diluting shareholders, to be able to raise money for Bitcoin. It's not just him raising the convertible notes that doesn't really dilute until 2030. But the last two purchases they made of Bitcoin of about $3 billion, they've been selling shares at the money for an at the market offering. And that's how they've been raising the capital to then buy Bitcoin. So I think that has been a little bit more dilutive, and some people are not necessarily the happiest about that. But it is kind of weird seeing Bitcoin have a good day, relatively good day, back above 100,000. But MicroStrategy right here down about 4.68%. On top of that, SoFi could not hold on to its gains. SoFi was at 16.25 at one point, now at 15.86. Google down 1%. Meta down a little bit. Meta's really flat, so it's not really down, but Meta's red. Amazon's down 0.5%. Elf Beauty down 5% of the day. They got downgraded by Deutsche Bank. Upstart was down 2%. Upstart was up 9% this morning. Now they're down. Archer, they were down 9%. Now they're down 1%. So that's not too bad. They also did some dilution. Adobe cannot catch a break. Adobe right here down 13%. I didn't even really go through all their numbers. I mean, I know they missed on guidance, but I don't know if it was worth going down 13%. I mean, that is a pretty aggressive move. That's more of the market saying we just don't believe in you guys right now. AMD's up a little bit. HIMS is up a little bit. QQQ's down 0.5%. S&P's down 0.33%. That's what we got going on currently in the markets. Tesla as well. I mean, Tesla's down 1.3%, but Tesla right here is at 419. We did hit 420.90, so we hit a new all-time high for Tesla, now back at 418. In terms of the selling and why the selling is happening, two reasons. First one, simple. We went up a lot over the past month, and people want to take some profits. Even yesterday was one of the best days ever in the market. Not the best day ever, but like it was a really good day. I mean, it was one of the best days ever for the Max 7. All of them together. Apple was unable to finish going green yesterday, but it was at 250 at one point. All of them just had a great day. Nasdaq had a great day. So we had a lot of interest into tech. We had a lot of money rotating back into tech, and you saw some of that momentum. I think people were taking some profits today, which is reasonable. Google's still holding 194. Google's up nicely from 168 a couple weeks ago. More importantly, I think PPI was not the best. PPI was not the best. And obviously PPI coming in at 3.0 versus 2.6. That was not good. Apparently I found out something today as well. And this is not good for the people that think inflation's coming down. This is actually counter to that point. Take a look at this. So first of all, oil went up today as well. So you had a little bit of that hurting inflation. But this I did not know about. This came out early in the morning, and I missed this. Take a look at this. The BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, they revised October's PPI from 2.4 to 2.6. They also revised the core PPI in October to 3.1 from 3.1 to 3.4, which means 6 out of the last 7 PPI inflation reports have now been revised higher, including today. And with today's 3% PPI inflation print, PPI is now at its highest level since February 2023. I don't think this is the biggest deal in the world. I do think that means we have a little bit of a sticky problem when it comes to inflation, and somehow the Fed's going to have to navigate that eventually. But I don't think that's going to affect the December rate cut. As you can see right here, 94.7%, a little bit below the 98% we had this morning. I still think we're going to be getting that December rate cut. And in December at least, I don't think we're gonna have to worry too much about that. But we are getting more revisions to the upside when it comes to PPI. Is the rebalance tomorrow? Yes, the rebalance for the NASDAQ 100 ETF is tomorrow. And Eric says, does Amit live on the internet? Every time I open this app, he's on here talking. We do a market open, market close. There's only a couple hours in between. So basically, we're live all the time. But yes, NASDAQ inclusion tomorrow. MicroStrategy most likely gets in. Palantir most likely gets in. By the way, Palantir, I think they were green for the majority of the day. Are they still green right here? Palantir is green, holding on. I mean, look, the market kind of fell toward this power hour, has not really been powerful for a lot of stocks, but Palantir still holding on to the green, 72.98 currently right now. SoFi again down. Robinhood again holding on to 3.55%, even though it was at that $40 range. You got Celsius up 7% on the day. They got upgraded. That's really nice. Riot was up 12%. Now they're up 5.6%. And then you got Tesla right here that might close out the day here at 420. And that's what we got. That's what we got going on currently in this market. Now, the next big piece of news that we had today, which was very important. This is not new camera or lights. I just made the table stand because it's a standing table and I felt like standing today. So yeah, no new lights or camera. We're just standing right now. The other big thing we had today is Trump. Trump met. So some news came out. You guys saw Trump speaking live and all that stuff. Trump also announced that he's meeting with Sundar, I think this week. And he's meeting with Jeff Bezos next week. He already met with Zucks, and now he's obviously, I mean, he's like best friends with Elon. So he is meeting pretty much all of the Mag 7 CEOs. And I think the reason he's meeting all the Mag 7 CEOs is because he wants to make sure that the Mag 7 continue to stay magnificent. I mean, it seems like that's kind of what's happening here, and that's why it's happening. So Google CEO, yeah, he's going to be meeting Trump Thursday, which is today. So I guess he's in New York, and they'll be meeting together. And then Trump is going to meet with Amazon's Jeff Bezos next week. It goes to show the excitement in the United States of America currently right now for a president that's ringing the bell. Did you guys know? I did buy more Grab today. Yes, the prophet said I bought more Grab. I did. I think I bought another 125 shares of Grab today. So I did do some buying of Grab. Did you guys know that Ronald Reagan was the last president who rang the bell? He was the last president that rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Trump is the first one to do it since 1985. And that to me is a pretty special thing, just because it's like, hey, this is a guy who actually cares about the stock market. Whether you agree with him politically or not, I don't think that matters. I think what matters is we care about American wealth and American prosperity. And I think what's the most important thing about this, whether you hate him politically or love him politically, we have $36 trillion in debt. We are not going to be able to get out of that debt unless we outgrow the debt. You can't tax the debt away. Even if you taxed another $2 trillion worth of taxes, somehow you raise $2 trillion. The United States brings in $4 trillion every year. We spend $6 trillion. If you raise the taxes to the point where we brought in $6 trillion, we would just be breaking even. So it's not like just raising the taxes would help. And by the way, if you tax the crap out of people to raise that extra $2 trillion, businesses would probably suffer because a lot of money would be leaving investments, leaving jobs, leaving the stock market to be able to pay those taxes. So I think everyone, every human, not even every American, every human who cares at all about the economy, which should be every human on the planet, needs to understand that we need to grow. And the only way to grow is for a president to actually usher us into a growth era. And Trump ringing the bell today kind of seems like that is what he's trying to do. Here was the president of the New York Stock Exchange actually talking about why this was such a big deal. Let's listen to her, and then we'll keep going from there.
For us, he is the first president to ring the bell since Ronald Reagan rang the bell March 28th, 1985. I think that really is a symbol of the optimism, the focus on the capital markets, the focus on the strength of our capital markets, and the focus on what really makes us the greatest nation in the world, which is the vibrancy of that capital markets.
We were discussing whether do all presidents get invited
Absolutely.
to ring the bell? Okay.
Absolutely.
Including President Biden.
Absolutely.
And they just usually don't do that.
I think they have one or two things to deal with, but I think it's telling that President Trump made it.
That is very telling. I mean, every president, in my opinion, you should care about the American economy and the American stock market. And she's going to talk a little bit more about why. But for Trump to be the first guy in over 30 years to do this, I couldn't believe that when I heard that. But apparently that is the case.
A priority.
How was the planning of this? You said you had
There were a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of moving parts, but it was an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor to continue to showcase the New York Stock Exchange for what it is, which is the center of the world's capital markets, one that is focused on celebrating freedom. We celebrate freedom here every day. And to us, freedom means the ability to dream. But importantly, the thing that makes the US unique is the fact that you're able to get the capital you need to turn those dreams into reality, to really change the world, to bring the next great innovation to the market. It's why we've been the envy of the world for 232 years since we were formed, and it's why we're going to be the envy of the world for the next 232 years and beyond.
She's speaking my language there. She is speaking my language. I am absolutely on the side of someone who wants to protect American innovation, who actually wants to be able to make sure that money flows into the system in the way that it needs to flow into the system. And look, if you've got a dream and you want to make that dream real, you need money most of the time, especially if it's any type of a world-changing product or service you want to bring to the market. And to get access to capital, you need the liquidity of the public markets. VC is great. Venture capital is great. A lot of times, venture capital works or it doesn't work. But most companies, if they can get onto the market, they can get through the IPO, DPO, and then have some level of sustainability. There's going to be ups and downs, but that is what creates life-changing wealth in the United States. And you need to have a president who at least cares about that. And at least that's what we got from Trump today. Again, you could hate him politically, disagree with a lot of stuff, but the fact that he was one of the first to ring it in a while, I think just goes to show he's going to try to make sure the market is strong over the next 4 years. Now, we've got Broadcom coming out, pump or dump, 3 minutes until earnings. Most of you say pump, 62% of you say pump on Broadcom. I'm going to close that in 1 minute, and then I'll ask the Costco poll and see what you guys are thinking. Let me know in the chat who owns Broadcom and Costco. These are the two ones we have to look at. Speaking of IPOs, Service Titan software company, SaaS company, I don't know exactly what they do, but they went public today. TTAN up 42%. 42%. So this is the American dream, right? You can take an idea, make it real, bring it to the public markets, and they are now valued at $9.14 billion. I have no idea if this is expensive, if this is cheap, if this is like a good company or not. I've just done zero research, but they IPO'd at 71. They're up at 101, up 42%. Not bad for them. And if you were able to get in this thing at 70 or in the 80s or 90s, you are currently up today. So we got one IPO. This is the 10th IPO of the year, which is 2x more than the IPOs we had in 2022, but it is a fraction of the IPOs we had in 2020 and 2021. This is why Tom Lee likes going long XLF. All of the JP Morgans and Goldman Sachs of the world and all these bankers, they are going to make a lot of money just by underwriting these IPOs and bringing them to the public markets. But you need those companies to go public in the first place. So that's what's going to be really important in 2025 if we can actually get, more companies to go public. And there's a bunch of them, Discord, Stripe. I mean, there's so many of them that have not gone public. And I think they're just waiting for the right moment, and the right moment might be coming up. All right, Costco pump or dump. We got 1 minute until the market closes. That is there in the chat. You guys can check that out. Pump or dump on Costco. Some of you guys saying you do have Costco. Some of you guys saying you have Broadcom. Rick said I sold Broadcom for CrowdStrike earlier this year. I don't hate that because CrowdStrike was, pretty cheap at one point. This is going to be an important one. CrowdStrike or Broadcom again. We got 20, 30 seconds. Costco right here. Market cap is $438 billion. It's down just a little bit, but it's up like 60% year to date. Broadcom is down 1% today, $840 billion market cap. They are up about 70% year to date. The most important thing to me for Broadcom is going to be their guidance. NVIDIA got crushed on earnings because they had crappy guidance, or at least guidance that the street didn't like. If Broadcom can beat on the top and the bottom line and give us some good guidance, maybe Broadcom ends up going higher today. All right, here we go. Thursday, December 12th, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. By the way, when I saw the bell ring today, you don't actually ring the bell. You just stand there while the bell is ringing. I think they need to get them a cowbell, okay, whoever rings the bell, and let them ring it. It's not going to be as loud because the actual bell is ringing, and I think the performance of ringing the bell would actually be pretty cool. So I think we need to send a suggestion to the New York Stock Exchange and see what they can do. And the bell hits different when you're standing up, bro. I feel like I have more power ringing the bell when I'm standing up. So maybe we do this more often. All right, Broadcom right here. We are waiting for Broadcom results and Costco. Before we get into that, let's see how the rest of the market performed. Microsoft was up a little bit today, 13 bips. Meta was down 30 bips. Google was down 1.54%. Amazon was down 0.5%. Nvidia was down another 1.47%. Tesla was down 1.57%. And Apple actually was green, up 0.5% on the day. Palantir closed at 73.20, up about 1% on the day. They have NASDAQ inclusion coming up tomorrow. Robinhood 39.33, up 4% on the day. Not bad. And you've got Riot that was up about 4% on the day. Celsius as well, up 7.5% on the day. Bitcoin at 100,119 currently right now. You press a button. Yeah, I know you press a button, but it's not the same feeling as like you're ringing the bell. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe one day we'll be there and we can see what it looks like in person. Okay, Costco and Broadcom. Costco and Broadcom. Those are the ones we're looking at. COST. Are we moving after hours? We have a little move after hours. Nothing serious yet. And then Broadcom right here, up 0.5% after hours as well. Let me see if I can get the numbers, if they are out yet. Let's see. And see what we got going on. The street wants 14.09 billion for Broadcom, 138 in EPS. And for Costco, they want 62.8 billion, 62.08 billion, and 379 of EPS. That is what the street is looking for. That is what they care about when it comes to these two. No numbers yet. No numbers yet on these guys. We are still waiting. No numbers yet. Earnings should be out, I think, pretty soon. Maybe 405 the latest, 410 maybe the latest. But we should be getting the results pretty soon. Have you heard about Archer's partnership with Anduril? Yes, it was a really good partnership with them. I think it makes a lot of sense. Both of them cutting edge, innovative companies, particularly for hardware. Archer was down about 3% on the dilution today, but if you're an investor, you kind of say you don't care about that dilution because you think they're actually doing some really cool stuff. So made sense for the partnership here with Archer. Gus says, disagree. I love the cowbell, but my wife hates it. Well, if your wife likes money, so that's the trade-off there. If she likes money, she's got to eventually come to grips with the cowbell. Costco PE, yeah, it is an aggressive PE. It is aggressive. 59 PE. I don't fully understand it, but nonetheless, I can't say anything given Palantir's trading at 60 times price of sales. Like, I'm the last person to say, oh, this is a little expensive. It's like, what about that stock that you love so much? Is that kind of expensive? But whatever, people believe in the special dividend. They believe in the $1.50 hot dog. They believe in the sticky mo. I don't really know what people believe in Costco other than, it's kind of like Palantir because people aren't selling. If you've been in Costco for years, are you really selling? No. So if you're not selling, then all right, well, the stock is going to have a premium and going to be more expensive since no one wants to get rid of their shares. No earnings yet on Broadcom and Costco. We are still waiting for those. They should be out soon, but no earnings yet on them right now. A couple takeaways from what Trump said today for those that missed it. He did say he is going to lower taxes to 15% for corporations that make their products in the United States. Will that actually happen? I don't know, but that's one of the things that he talked about today. And then the other thing he talked about is energy independence, and that energy independence really being one of the key hallmarks of his ability to get prices down, to get groceries to be more affordable, and to kind of combat with all the other things that we have going on in the United States in terms of the problems that potentially could be resolved if we are more energy efficient. So those are some of the stuff that he said he wants to focus on as well. Netflix earnings, I believe, we already had Netflix. Yeah, Netflix, we're going to wait till Q4. Netflix was done for Q3. They're like one of the first tech companies. So they're going to happen in February. However, there was a new article out today that said Netflix is probably, this is what the article said, going to split their stock. So some sources say that, hey, we think Netflix is getting ready to split. They're approaching $1,000 a share. I don't think that's a horrible idea. Will that actually happen? We're going to have to see. But if that does happen, I don't think that's the worst idea. I think a lot of folks are going to get into what's going on with Netflix. Okay, they're all at 4:15. All right, so we have about 10 minutes. So a couple things as we're waiting then for earnings. First of all, I want to show you guys this because I did get this yesterday. I think I showed you guys on the stream, but I actually used it today. Got to use the gold card today. There you go. It was pretty awesome, dude. It was a nice experience. The experience of using the physical card was great. It looks really cool when you take it out and pay for something. Kind of feels like a flex, even if it's not real gold. You get 3% cash back on anything. The process of taking the cash back, put into your brokerage was also really good. So I thought that was really nice. On top of that, I don't know if I showed you guys this in the morning. I might have not. But Robinhood got upgraded again from Goldman Sachs to $48. They got upgraded from Bank of America to 53 yesterday. So Robinhood right here getting another upgrade today from Goldman Sachs at $48. CleanSpark, is that doing okay? CleanSpark, again, this one. Wow, what happened? Oh no! Oh no! This is not good. Why is it down 7%? What did okay, here's my guess. Dilution. That's my guess. My guess is dilution. That's my guess. Let's see. Oh boy, that's a nasty move. That has to be something inside of the company. Why is it down 6%? That has to be dilution, bro. It has to be. Is it? Oh, 550 million of convertible. Yeah, this is not cool anymore, bro. It was cool when MSTR did it because he had this like infinite glitch. It was kind of cool when Marathon did it because they were just following. Then Riot did it yesterday, and it was like, yeah, I don't know how cool. Then freaking CleanSpark's doing it. If all these guys are doing it, there's two scenarios. The bullish scenario is there's a shit ton of money getting ready to buy Bitcoin because all these guys are raising convertible notes. The bearish angle is why would you give CleanSpark, Marathon, MicroStrategy, Riot a premium if all they're doing is the same thing that the other one is doing? I think both bull and bear cases are valid, but the fact that CleanSpark is basically admitting defeat here and saying that, yeah, our stock's in the gutter, there's nothing we can do other than raise a convertible note and be like the other guys, just goes to show how powerful the strategy is, but also how the strategy might not be as valuable in the future if everyone's doing it. There you go. There you go on CleanSpark. There you go. That one, it's recovering a little bit. It was down 6%. Now it's down 1.3%. So you got some dip buyers in, but it is down. Costco and Broadcom, we got a little bit of green movement after hours, but I still think we need 8 minutes until we get the results. So nothing to read into for that right now. How much Bitcoin are they planning on buying? 550 million. 550 million of convertible notes. There you go. 550 million for CleanSpark convertible notes. Who owns CleanSpark? Put in the chat, or any of the miners. Put in the chat. And if you own a miner, let me know which one. I have pretty much been against the miners all year ever since I sold my CleanSpark. I've been pretty public about that. I didn't like being in a business that is contingent on mining Bitcoin. And all that money, I put it into Robinhood instead, something I could really understand and I could see the vision for. But they've had a hell of a... Remember, CleanSpark was $2 at one point last year. People forget. So it's at $12 right now. At one point, it was $20. If you got in when it was like absolutely hated, you've done very well. Problem is a lot of people got in at 17, 18, 19, 20. And that's why a lot of people are upset about the miners, because they just haven't performed the way a lot of people thought they would perform. We got some people saying CleanSpark, Marathon, Costco stock split coming, maybe. That'll be important to see today as well. Broadcom, the street wants 350 of EPS and 14 billion of revenue. 350 of EPS and 14 billion of revenue. Marathon's up 11% after hours. Really? Why is Marathon? No, it's not. It's up 0.31%. I was going to say if Marathon took away CleanSpark's gains, that would be wild. That would be wild. So CleanSpark right here, it's down 2.4%. It was down almost 8%. Now it's recovering. It's a little bit of an overreaction as soon as they announced the news, and now people are kind of buying it up right here. Look, I kind of think this is bullish because they're buying more Bitcoin. And if we all believe Bitcoin's going higher, then the more Bitcoin on the balance sheet, the better. The question is just going to be at what premium do the convertible notes convert at, and if the market is going to go long or give a premium to a name that's already long Bitcoin when they could just buy MicroStrategy instead, right? Because MicroStrategy is already doing it. Now, Saylor wants everyone in the world to do it because Saylor just wants to pump the coin. But for these particular stocks, it's a question of, do I pick CleanSpark or MicroStrategy or Marathon or Riot? You got to get a lot of people doing some nitty-gritty research to figure out. Before, when it was just MSTR, everyone just did MSTR, right? And so that sort of monopoly MSTR had on the business, or the strategy of that business, does not exist anymore, which is good for them because they need more and more companies to be putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Palantir is not up 20% after hours. You guys put these stats in there, dude. I remember on Palantir Q2 earnings, someone said they did 800 million in revenue. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, no, they didn't, bro. They did 607. Like, can't believe I fell for that. Grab very bad today. Any news? No, it's just technical. There's no news today. Grab was down 4%. No news. Again, guys, Grab's up 70% for the year. It was at $3 in the beginning of the year. You should expect volatility. If you're buying this name, do not expect it to go to 6 or 7 anytime soon. This is a name with 4 billion shares outstanding. It needs to show profitable growth. I am hoping, quite frankly, it goes back to 450 because I would develop a very larger position than I have right now. But I'm buying on the dips, and if we get there, great. If not, then that's fine. But this is a name that I would expect to be volatile until they have their next quarter as well. Okay, so nothing on Broadcom and Costco yet. Let's get the professor's take on what he thought about Trump and his perspectives today, and then we'll get into Costco and Broadcom in just a couple minutes.
Pro-stock market president in history insofar as measuring his own success or worth by how well the stock market does. However, there are many things that.
Oh, hold on. We did have another earnings today. Let me go to this. Restoration Hardware. I forgot about that one. Sorry, guys. Restoration Hardware up 17%. Who owns this thing? So let me get the results on this one. Restoration Hardware. I've heard of this company before. I've not really looked into it much since I've heard of it. Don't have the numbers yet. Let me see if I can pull it up. 17% after hours, revenues up 8%, 812 million, net income 33 million, adjusted operating margin of 15%. CEO says the positive inflection of our business continued to gain momentum with the third quarter demand increasing 13%, despite operating in the worst housing market in 30 years. Okay, so I guess their guidance is pretty damn good right here. They beat on the top and the bottom line. They have some good guidance. Demand is coming back. Maybe, I mean, we did see home sales in October go up 2%. So it's not like no one's buying a house. That could also be a positive tailwind for them. And in Q4, they're expecting growth of 18 to 20%. That's really good. They only grew 13% this quarter, 8% this quarter. If they're expecting 18% growth next quarter, that's actually really good. Adjusted operating margin of 13.2%. That's a little bit lower than the current operating margin of 15% right now. Total demand growth of 9 to 10%. Adjusted operating margin of 11.5 to 11.7. That is still lower than the current 15% operating margin. So overall, it looks like that guidance expectation for Q4 is taking them higher. This is a $7 billion company. Price of sales of 2.3, no dividend, and stocks up 16% currently right now. Restoration Hardware is the rich IKEA. Has anyone ever been in these stores? I've never been in Restoration Hardware. I've never been there. But I guess it has some excitement right here, up 16%. There you go. All right, let's get back to the professor, and then we've got Costco and Broadcom coming up.
That can happen that are beyond his control that can give us a bear market. The business cycle is a part of a capitalist economy. There could be external events. There could be other geopolitical events. Nothing is guaranteed. What I think is guaranteed is that he won't knowingly do anything that he thinks will harm the value of the American market. And I say knowingly because there's always that law of unintended consequences. Many times we don't realize some things we do might not be in the best interest, but it is really, it's exciting. This morning is exciting to have a president that's pro-business, pro-economy. It's not just the stock market. It's, I want to make Americans better off. I want to make, corporate America better off, to make the American worker better off. There's a very good feeling, pro-business, pro-excitement. That's certainly good for the stock market.
I wonder if that's why the market isn't as concerned about tariffs, because of this idea of the Trump put, that he's not going to let the market fall apart or the economy, even if, as we know, tariffs can have a disruptive effect on the economy and on inflation, and the market doesn't like them.
Yeah, absolutely. You could say there is somewhat of a Trump put, like we often talk about. Is there a Fed put or a Powell put? Neither of them, again, can ever guarantee against a bear market. But I think what's happening is the market is also looking at his first 4 years. And certainly, he did raise tariffs, to be sure, but not anywhere as much as he threatened. I'm pretty amazed at this invitation to Chairman Xi of China in the inauguration. Is just, hey, let's talk now, so I do not have to put high tariffs on you. It'll be really interesting to see if there's going to be any response there. But I think it's, hey, let's talk. And we know that the Trump position is, I want to talk from a strong position, and then we can negotiate down from there. And I think that's what the stock market feels.
Yeah, he did. So no numbers out yet right now for Costco or Broadcom. Still waiting on that. Should be out very soon. But look, professor's basically saying, hey, there's going to be some internal dynamics with tariffs, inflation for Trump to be able to navigate. But given he actually cares about the market and judges himself based on the market, that hopefully can be positive for investors over the long term as he is president. Broadcom's out. Are we out? Oh, we're green. We are. Hold on. How green is that going to be? That's going back down. That hit 189. Oh, don't go red. Don't do it. Just stay up there. Stay green. Go. We don't need to stop. It's staying green. It's fighting, though. It looks like it wants to go back down. but it's fighting. Look at that. It hit 189, bro. Oh, now we're red. Oh, now we're down. Now we're down. Now we're down. Now we're down. Could not hold it at all. Could not hold it in at all. Now it's back up 0.1, 1.2. It is, do you see this? It's fighting for like 0.5% right now. Literally fighting for 0.5%. Literally, the candle is doing a remix. Oh my God. Is Costco out? Is Costco out? Hold on. Where's Costco? Costco's up 1.72. Costco's up 1.72%. Costco's more sustainable. Costco's not being erratic right here. Broadcom up 1.3. It's really not holding it. How much buying and selling is happening right now, bro? Goodness gracious. It's fighting for its life right here. Costco's sustainable up 2% right here. Little bit of movement right here, 1.7 to 1.8%. It wants to go up to 2%, but you're seeing a nice, like, reasonable move on Costco after a hopefully good earnings. Broadcom, still, I don't trust it, up 2.8%. I do not trust that yet. I do not trust it yet. Let's see if we can get the numbers in a second. Tesla's dumping. Okay, you guys have kept saying Tesla's dumping, and then it's down like 0.5%. Is Tesla actually dumping? All right, it's down 0.43. That's not a crazy dump, but it's down. Broadcom, all right, now I'm starting to trust it. It's up a little bit, 3.5%. We got someone here to join me to figure this out. Jose, what's up? Oh, you're muted, Jose.
Testing. 1 2 1 2.
There you go. You're good.
It's crazy, man. It seemed like it didn't know what to go for the first minute or so.
It seemed like it did, and I'm trying to get the numbers now. Let's see if we can get the numbers. And Jose, you'll see the numbers in real time. You can get them on your screen as well, and then we can react and kind of see what's going on with Broadcom. So in terms of the top and the bottom line, let me take a look if we have it. We should have it. It should be positive if it's going up. Earnings. Okay, Costco has a double meet. Broadcom has a miss on revenue, but a beat on EPS. So 142 versus 139. That's good. The miss on revenue is so insignificant. 14.06 versus 14.059 or 54. That should not be a reason why the street is upset. Maybe that's a little bit of reason why it's being a little harder after hours and erratic, but misses revenue very slightly. EPS is a nice beat by about 4 or 5 cents. So that is good. And then Costco right here has a double beat. Jose, you're going to be analyzing Costco with me as well.
Sounds good. No worries. my wife loves Costco.
All right, there we go.
She's Costco.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. 404 versus 379. That's a big beat on EPS, folks. That's a 25-cent beat on EPS. Did I do the math right? I did the math right. That's what you call quick maths, baby. 404 minus 379, 25 cents of an EPS beat. 62.15 versus 62 billion in revenue. That's a beat as well. That is a beat as well. So you got Costco and you got Broadcom, both with a beat on the top line, a little bit of a beat on the bottom line, a little bit of miss at the bottom line. Tesla right here, 418. Broadcom. All right, now we're green. Now we're green on Broadcom. 190, up 5%. And we got Costco. Costco giving back some of their gains, but Costco is moving 1%. Costco doesn't move as crazy as Broadcom anyway. Your mom would be proud. She would be proud of that mental math. But we got Broadcom up. All right, let me see if I can get some other coverage on it, and then we'll try to get the real numbers from their website so we can analyze them a little bit more in depth. Do we have the... Okay, so we don't have the coverage yet, but it should be coming soon. Let's see if it's on their website.
Yeah, their website has it. I mean, one of the biggest things is AI revenue to $12.2 billion for this year. And it grew 220%. And for those that are not familiar, right, Qualcomm is helping all these big tech players kind of develop their own AI chips. So Google, for example, uses Qualcomm to develop the...
You mean Broadcom? You mean Broadcom?
Yes. What did I say? Did I say Qualcomm?
Yeah, you said Qualcomm.
Yeah, so Google is a customer of them. Recently, I think yesterday or the day before, we heard that OpenAI might be partnering with them as well. And a lot of big tech players are kind of, I wouldn't say rushing, but meeting with companies like Broadcom. We had Marvell last week, where they're kind of helping these big tech players design these AI chips. So it seems like that's what the market is very, very excited about.
So we got 14 billion in revenue growth. That's up 50%. That's not a small amount of revenue growth. 51% revenue growth. That's not bad. Stock dividend increased by 11%, so 59 cents a share. Fiscal revenue guidance for the next quarter, 14.6 billion. That's up 22% from the prior year. Okay, so they're growing 22%, down from 50%, but still having some growth. President and CEO Hock Tan said Broadcom's fiscal year 2024 revenue grew 44% year over year to a record $51.6 billion, as infrastructure software revenue grew to $21.5 billion. Semiconductor revenue was a record $30 billion, driven by AI revenue of $12.2 billion. AI revenue, which grew 220% year on year, was by far our leading on AI XPUs and Ethernet networking portfolio. Jose, for the people that don't know what AI revenue is, can you explain what it is? And Costco is now slightly red after hours. But yeah, what is AI revenues?
Yeah, so they hit two main markets in the AI. First, like I mentioned, right, they help these companies develop AI chips, and they get some form of, like, the easiest way to understand, maybe some form of royalty out of this, out of all these chips being made. So obviously, if all these big tech players are making more chips, they're going to get more revenue. The second thing is Broadcom also sells a lot of networking solutions, and these networking solutions are being used to power AI data centers to help the communication of all these AI chips. So those networking solution via optics are what's helping Broadcom kind of gain this AI revenue. I forget what was their breakdown. I think it's like 70% chips and like 40% networking. They usually break it down in the earnings call, but most of the AI revenue comes from the AI chips themselves.
Okay, and they have about $5 billion in cash, or sorry, $9.3 billion in cash. Did they buy back any shares at all?
So, I mean, I wouldn't think so. This company just recently made, about a year ago, one of the biggest acquisitions with VMware. So that could be one of the reasons they're a little bit low in cash compared to maybe some of the other giants as well. And they do tend to have high debt, but they wanted to enter more into the software space. And pretty much how we're seeing in the semiconductor market, it's no longer just about being a hardware company. You have to be a mixture of a hardware and a software company to be able to maintain some nice margins. So that acquisition, pretty expensive, but it seems like Broadcom is definitely pretty happy about it.
All right, 61% of you said Costco would pump, 39% said dump. I'm going to end the poll right there. Costco, I think the jury's still out because we got a little bit of a dump, a little bit of a pump. So we're going to have to kind of see what that looks like. Jose, I know you got to go, so I got you for like 10 minutes. So I just want to ask you some more questions about AI and Broadcom in general. First, here are the results real quick on Broadcom. And then I want to hit you with some questions about semis, and then we'll cover Costco, guys.
The estimate of $1.38 revenue, a slight miss, so you could call it in line. 14.05 billion. The street was looking for 14.08. Some bullish comments from CEO Hock Tan that I want to bring you, John and Morgan. He says that semiconductor revenue for 2024, a record of $30.1 billion, driven by AI revenue, which they break out at $12.2 billion. He says AI revenue, which grew 220% year over year, was driven by our leading AI XPUs and Ethernet networking portfolio. So raising expectations on what to expect going into next year, always an important gauge, especially for the hyperscalers that are working on their own in-house chips, guys. We're looking at shares of Broadcom up over 4%. Conference call begins at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be looking for more clarity on capital spending going into 2025, guys.
All right. Positive report for sure. Seema, thanks. Well,
all right. So, Jose, I want to talk about semis. Do you still think semis are in the doghouse and the street is caring a little bit more about software? And what is your take on semis going into January?
I think definitely. I think right now the market is looking more into software because they believe chips have run up, and we've definitely seen, a lot of popular semiconductors run up. I believe there's a few opportunities out there. Like, I am becoming a nice net buyer of AMD at the moment. I'm still very, very much bullish on NVIDIA, but I think the market is definitely forgetting that the AI chip market is expected to grow dramatically next year. So while maybe rightfully so, we should be looking at software, I think I would, if I was to guess, maybe the first half might be a little bit weak for semis, but I think by the end of next year, semis are going to be another nice out market performer.
Okay, AMD. I got a lot of people asking to buy AMD. By the way, guys, Costco does not have their numbers yet on their website, so they should have it in about 5 minutes, but no numbers yet for Costco. AMD, do you think it's bottoming at 120 right here?
I think so. Like I mentioned, I'm a net buyer right now. I enjoy AMD a lot. And the question, it's not that I believe AMD is going to be the next NVIDIA. Nowhere near. I don't think AMD comes close to NVIDIA. I just believe this AI market is growing at such a rapid pace. We have such a supply constraint that second, third, fourth, fifth player are all going to win in this AI chip market because demand continues to outstrip supply. I mean, we're seeing here with Qualcomm. We saw it last week with Marvell, and we're going to see it in the long term with AMD, in my opinion.
Broadcom and Apple made a partnership yesterday for a specific AI chip. Is that bullish and is that bearish for NVIDIA?
This is always the big bearish case for NVIDIA, that all these big tech players are developing their own AI chip. And I think this is a market where two things can be true. The tech market can be developing their own AI chips, and usually they develop their own AI chips when they know one specific task or one specific workload can be done easier if they just manufacture it themselves. So they do that, and that's why we're seeing all these big tech players do that. But at the end of the day, AI continues to evolve. So the workload that you're doing today might not be the workload you're doing tomorrow or the day after. And that's why you need NVIDIA chips, because this is such an evolving market, because NVIDIA innovates at such a rapid pace. You're going to need to continue to buy NVIDIA chips to not be left behind. So the market is growing at such rapid levels that it's not necessarily a market where you cannibalize the other player. Both players can win. So I think Marvell, Broadcom are going to do well, but I don't think anyone's going to dethrone NVIDIA anytime soon.
Thoughts on ARM right now?
ARM, I don't follow it too much. I mean, last time I checked, it was a little bit too overvalued for my taste. And that's because I tend to have a lot of growth stocks already in my portfolio. So I tend to be a little bit more picky. Maybe if that's someone's only growth stock, that's a different story. But for me, it's one I tend to kind of stay away. Obviously, a lot of growth opportunity for ARM right now.
Micron got upgraded to 175 yesterday. I forgot the name of the firm that did. Micron's at 98. That's almost a double. Does that make sense to you? And what are they seeing that the market's not seeing?
I mean, I think the memory market is always it's the most volatile and the most commoditized out of the semiconductor space. It sucks to say, right? But I do believe as in the short term, it's going to be different for Micron because things like HBM are controlling higher margins, and Micron seems to be the number 2 player in HBM. Number 1 is SK Hynix, which is, you can't really trade here in the United States unless your broker allows you to trade kind of international markets. But number 1 is SK Hynix, number 2 is Micron, and number 3 is Samsung in HBM. And Samsung is having a lot of issues. So right now it's a market just between Micron and SK Hynix. And I believe Micron definitely has the opportunity to grow here. Personally, not in my investment portfolio, but if someone was to tell me why that they're bullish in the company, I can definitely see reasons behind it.
All right, last two for you, Jose. Eric says MSTI. Do you know this one, and any take on this one?
Not one I follow. I would say I follow Eric, so my apologies there.
Okay, Macom Tech Solutions, $9 billion company. Eric, you might have found a new one. We got to look into.
Yeah, we have to. I wonder if this is in the analog space. I tend to sometimes stay away from the analog space, but I'll definitely look at it after today's stream to see if maybe there might be something I'm missing.
SMCI, are you touching it still or no?
No, definitely not. Like I mentioned, I mean, if I want exposure to the AI market, I already have a position in NVIDIA, Marvell, and like I mentioned, AMD is my number 2 position that I'm buying. I'm being a net buyer. So for the AI space, I feel very comfortable with the chip companies that I own.
Do you think Broadcom deserves this 5% pump on the AI revenues up 220%, or do you think Broadcom, would you be buying Broadcom at $180, $190?
Oh man, I think certain AI chips have grown to levels where they can still keep growing. At the end of the day, it's all about risk to reward ratio. For me personally, Broadcom, even though I believe it can go up, I don't personally believe, for me, the risk to reward ratio is there. I believe it's there for AMD. But Broadcom, if the partnerships with, and they're probably going to talk about it during the earnings call, if the partnership with with Apple is true, this can definitely benefit from there as AI chips continue to grow. And these big tech players are going to be building massive superclusters of not just NVIDIA chips, but also of their own AI chips. So I can definitely see why Qualcomm would be seen as the number 2 in the AI chip space. So definitely a lot of growth opportunities there.
Okay, last question for you, actually. NVIDIA. So stock is now, a company's being investigated by China for being a monopoly. That came out a couple days ago. Then today they said they're hiring 1,000 people in China. To me, it kind of feels like they want to get the regulators off their back. I don't want to say the stock's in a gutter, given it's up 190% year to date. But, people are like, why isn't it moving when the rest of the Mac 7 are moving? Do you think NVIDIA at the end of the year is closer to 150 or 130?
At the end, what are we?
We got 2 weeks left.
I would say, if I was a betting man, I think I would say it would be closer to 150. I think this China news is China just needs to fight back right now. I mean, we're seeing a lot of U.S. regulations, a lot of tariffs talks. The U.S. just last week or 2 weeks ago gave more regulations to semiconductor equipments to not be sent over to China. So I think China is either just trying to show some political face, some force, and unfortunately, NVIDIA is kind of the one in between.
NVIDIA's caught in the middle of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the anti-probe is about a acquisition that happened in 2018, 2019, and saying anti-competitive in China. I mean, NVIDIA is sending the weakest chip to China because of regulations, and China still can't keep up. I mean, I don't think that's NVIDIA's problem at the end of the day. But they've done this similar stuff with Qualcomm. Qualcomm in 2012 had to pay a few $1 billion because of this. So I think China is either just trying to grab data, just trying to make some force, or kind of just show something with the current administration.
All right, there you go. Jose on semis. Jose didn't even tell me he launched this. I had to find it on his Twitter. He didn't even tell me to plug this, but we're going to plug this right now. What the chip happened, folks.
Yeah.
That is the new newsletter of semis. Go ahead. Why should people subscribe to this?
I mean, if you want to learn about the semiconductor space, I provide about 3 to 4 articles of just pretty quick read, 5 to 7 minutes of what's happening in the semiconductor market. It's not always about NVIDIA. It has to do with different things. I think today we talked about an acquisition or an investment NVIDIA made. We've talked about On Semiconductor. We've talked about Marvell. So a lot of different news impacting the AI space. Make sure to check it out. And a lot of free. And for all this is free. Nothing. I might plug in, obviously, an ad in there. But overall, it's a lot of great information.
I like it. I like the font, the graphics. This is good stuff. I am subscribing to this today, and I will be stealing a ton of this information for my marketing. So
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jose. You guys can subscribe it, and I'll put it in the description as well. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right, there you go. That's what we got on the semis. Broadcom is up 4%. Costco. It's time to see if we're bringing the boom to these earnings. I'm sorry, I had to do that. You guys know I had to do that. Here we go. I'm sure everyone gets that, right? Everyone gets that reference. If you don't get that reference, you've been living under a rock. You got to get that reference. Here we go. Costco, 7.5% growth on net sales. $60.99 billion, up from $56.7 billion last year. US was 7% of it. Canada was 6.7%. Other international was 7% in terms of growth over the past 12 weeks. Net income was $1.79 billion. So they're bringing in almost $2 billion of profit per quarter. Costco currently operates at 897 warehouses, including 617 in the United States, 109 in Canada, 41 in Mexico, 36 in Japan. Some new ones they opened in Japan. And you got the rest across the world. I think that's, do they do buyback? No, they have a dividend, so they don't do buybacks. Yeah, I don't think they do repurchasing. No, they do. They bought 207 million of stock last quarter. This time they bought 162 million. So they bought $207 million of stock, and then you have that special dividend on Costco of $1.50, which it's a little bit more than $1.50, maybe a little less, but it's in that range, and that's another reason why people love owning Costco. This is the link for the newsletter for those that didn't catch it. What the chip happened. I love that name too. This is Jose's newsletter, so you can check it out right there. All right, so that's what we got on Costco. Not bad, nothing crazy. It's not like it's the most exciting earnings. It's Costco. It shouldn't be the most exciting earnings. I think the moat around Costco is that they can, kind of like an Amazon Prime thing, they can continue to increase the price of that membership incrementally over time because people are just not going to unsubscribe from it. And if people are not going to unsubscribe, then that's obviously very good for Costco's long-term trajectory. Costco sells a bunch of different things all the time. They're trying to figure out how to sell different things. They've, really started amping up the amount of gold that they're selling. And advertising and e-commerce, I think, is the real big next play for them. But we've got to see if they're trying to capitalize on on those elements. Their moat is the hot dog, bro. Yeah, that's correct. 92% retention rate. Wow, I didn't know that. 92% retention rate. That is not bad at all. We have some Costco coverage. Yeah, we have a little bit of Costco coverage right here. Then we'll go back to Broadcom and get some more thoughts on that. Let's get this Costco right here. What do you think about the YouTube TV subscription 10% increase? It's really annoying. I was already paying $72 a month basically just for CNBC to have these breaking news moments. Now they want to do $83 a month. I don't know if I can keep paying that, bro. Like it's not breaking the bank, but it's definitely hurting the bank to pay $83 a month for cable TV. So I think I'll have to find another way to get CNBC access or just like financial news access because it's a little bit too much money, but it's good for Google. So I guess go long Google from that.
Melissa Repko has those. Melissa.
Hey, John. So Costco stock is just down slightly despite beating on the top and bottom line. It reported earnings per share of $4.04, higher than the $3.79 that were expected. Revenue was $62.15 billion compared to $62.08 billion expected. Membership fees were also on the higher side than expected, totaling $1.17 billion.
Damn, they made $1.17 billion off membership fees. $1 billion a quarter just off membership. That is incredible for Costco. That is incredible.
Compared to the $1.16 billion analysts expected. And remember, Costco recently hiked its membership fees for the first time in about 7 years. That took effect back in early September, John.
All right, Melissa, thanks.
Thanks.
Now.
All right, that's it. That's it for Costco. Stocks cut flat after hours. I mean, it should be, dude. The stocks have been up a lot this year. It doesn't need to be up like crazy. Definitely doesn't. I don't think it needs to tank or anything. These are good numbers. Basically flat after hours, 0.06%. Although it was up a little bit. Now it's going slightly red. So the market was willing to buy it at whoever bought it at $1,000 and $1,008.88 might be a little upset right now. But there were some buyers that stepped in after these earnings. Volume on Costco is 2 million shares. Market cap again, 437 billion. They didn't announce the stock split, which would have been pretty cool. I don't know. It just feels easier to buy Costco at $100 than $1,000. I know it doesn't really matter. I get it. But Costco right here at 991 currently after hours. Broadcom still holding on to 3%. Still holding on to 3%. Is Bitcoin tanking? Is Bitcoin tanking? Oh my gosh. Why can't this thing stay above 100K? Bitcoin below 100 again. Where's MSTR? That's up a little bit after hours. Where's CleanSpark? After these convertible notes, they are down 3%. They are down 3%. Why is Hood getting sold around 40? Yeah, there's some weird resistance around 40. I think it's just coiling up. We were holding 40 nicely today. Then we got hit. Again, a lot of external things. I don't know. I'm more curious about the flash crash down to 35. And again, the testing of these levels is something that I've just come to notice in stocks. Like when you're consistently testing a certain level, it is just a matter of time before you break through because the demand is there. There is plenty of demand to get those shares at $40, but you've got algos and market makers and all this stuff that is sort of algorithmically functioning around the trade. Maybe you have some insider selling as well, all these different things that happen. But if we keep knocking on the door of 40, we're eventually going to get past that door. It's just being held down here for a little bit. 39.33 up 3.94% on the day. And pretty much every analyst on Wall Street has them in the high 40s or low 50s in terms of their price targets. Archer was a big deal today. Yes, Archer, again, partnered with Anduril right here, down about 3% of the day, but a really cool partnership with them. And they did dilute by raising some money for that deal as well. Tesla says it's a human psychology around round numbers. Yeah, that could be a thing. I mean, look how long it took us. Remember the day Palantir broke 30? It literally took an hour and a half of staring at 29.95 to 29.99. And then we finally broke through. So sometimes the round number stuff does play into this. IWM down 3% in the week. That's a good point. Small caps not really getting some love here. And I kind of understand. I mean, do you really want to buy small caps? Like who actually wants to buy small caps going into 2025 with all the uncertainties we have? The one side of me says yes, because it's obviously undervalued compared to the S&P 500. The other part of me says, I'd rather buy the Mag 7. I'd rather buy Google. Like I'd rather pick and choose some Mag 7 stocks to get a little bit more safety against IWM. I don't think IWM is a bad buy. I think you just want to be patient with it because the people that bought it at 170, 180, they had to be really patient for a good 18 months before it broke out. And Tom Lee was pumping it 10 months ago. So it took a while for people to actually recognize it. We can't have a recession. That would really hurt small caps. But I do think a lot of safe money wants to come into large cap tech. And that's why we're seeing them get some momentum as well. Adobe down over 13%. Yeah, Adobe, not the best day for them, down 13.6%. currently right now. Aren't you buying Grab? Yeah, but Grab to me isn't I mean, I guess you could call it a small cap. 20 billion is technically not a small cap. Small cap is actually $1 billion and less. That's what a small cap is. But like, I can understand how 20 billion is a quote unquote small cap. But I think of it in a much differentiated way. First of all, it's not in the US, so it's exposure to an emerging market. And that emerging market fundamentally has a different dynamic with interest rates, inflation, et cetera, and just like the moat around that business versus small caps in general. Also, individual small caps have performed amazing in 2024. IWM hasn't. I mean, it's been a good year, but it's not been like a crazy year. Some of these small caps are up 300-400%. So if you're picking and choosing any stock, much less a small cap in 2025, I think you can do well. But the overall just betting on small caps in general, we got to see. We got to see if 2025 is a conducive macro environment for them to continue to do well. Let's bring in Stacey from Bernstein, get his thoughts on Broadcom, and then we will keep going from there.
I think it's two things. One is the quarterly revenues, the semis beat. It looks like it was AI. If they said 12.2 for the year, it means roughly 3.7 for the quarter. The guide was like 3.5-ish. So the AI performance in the quarter beat. I also think on the guide, even though the revenue outlook for fiscal Q1 is roughly in line, investors were expecting them to miss. So they're worried about things like wireless seasonality into Q1 and maybe some potential lumpiness on AI. And so we'll get a little more color on the segments on the call. But as of right now, an in-line-ish revenue, I think, is actually above where investors' expectations were as we headed into the quarter. And I think that's why the stock's up.
So we were talking earlier with Mike Santoli about how expensive or not some software names are exposed to AI. How are the chips, how are the semiconductors looking given this very exciting but somewhat volatile year?
Yeah, so semi valuations are relatively high. They've been high. It's two things. I think it's the AI names. I think it's also a number of names where like just numbers in general have been going down, like especially in the analog space. And yet the stock prices haven't really gone down very much. So if the stock price doesn't go down and the numbers do, by definition, it means the multiple goes up. And so semiconductor multiples in general have been fairly rich. It's interesting, like some of the AI names within it are not that expensive. Broadcom is probably, high 20s, maybe 30 times. Even NVIDIA is, 30 times, give or take, right? They're actually not, some of these are not actually the most expensive. There are other names that are more expensive within the AI space, but the AI winners, it's funny, if you look at them, they're probably like among the cheaper of like the basket of AI stocks right now. But it's been an interesting dynamic this year. Frankly, if it wasn't for AI, I think in general, the space would not be having such a great time. AI has been very strong. Most of the other end markets broadly in the industry so far this year have not been great. It's really been a single factor driving things mostly as we went through. As we end up the year, we'll see what 2025 brings.
Stacey, I'm going to ask you what may be a contrarian question, and it seems like it's coming out of left field. But I was speaking with the founder of a tech company that is absolutely foundational to the generative AI era, if you will, and thus an early indicator of what's happening in the market. And this person said to me that they think that we are much closer to being oversaturated and oversupplied in NVIDIA chips than anybody realizes. Your thoughts?
Well, it doesn't seem that way right now. I mean, some of their older generation parts, like the Hopper parts, supply has gotten a lot better as we've gone through the year. The Blackwell parts that they're getting ready to launch now seem absolutely constrained, right? Now there is a lot of capacity that is coming online as we go through the year. And this is why people get positive about NVIDIA, because if the demand is there to meet that supply as it comes online, it still suggests a good amount of upside relative to where I think expectations and numbers are. So that will be the debate, again, as we go through 2025, as that supply comes online, is the demand there to meet it or not? I would say, as we stand right now, the demand still looks off the charts. At least at this point, like, all these guys are going to be selling everything that they can make.
Okay. Stacey Rasgon of Bernstein, thanks for joining us. Shares of Broadcom up almost 5% right now.
So that's what we got from Broadcom. I'm getting some news on CleanSpark, guys. Apparently, they're doing something different with this $550 million in convertible notes, and it's not buying Bitcoin. So CleanSpark has announced plans to offer $550 million in convertible senior notes. That headline, right? I think everyone sees that headline and thinks, okay, so they're doing the Bitcoin treasury thing. Nope. They are funding capped call transactions, repurchasing up to $125 million in common stock. This is the dumbest thing ever. How are you diluting people to then buy back your stock. I mean, maybe it's not the dumbest thing ever, but it is kind of annoying to investors. Capital expenditures and acquisitions, and to repay their Coinbase credit line. So the $550 million is not literally to buy Bitcoin. It is a convertible note. But the money from that convertible note is not going to literally be buying the Bitcoin. I'm reading some of the offering right here. You got Adam in the chat saying it is stupid as F. Okay, so we got Adam's we got Adam's perspective. This is weird, bro. This is very weird. Tess, I'm giving you the mod right now. I see you right there. I said I needed to add a lot new moderators today because we're getting too much spam. So Tess, I don't know how you weren't a mod yet, Tess. That's weird, but boom, you're a mod right now. That's weird, dude. So $550 million in notes, but they're not actually buying the Bitcoin. This makes sense for why we saw the reaction after an ad's down 3.24%. The initial conversion price is $327.50 per share of common stock. This means each 1,000 principal amount of shares can be converted into approximately 3 shares of common stock. I don't fully understand it. Yeah, you got a lot of people pissed off right now in the CleanSpark community. This is weird. Why? I'm trying to think from first principles. Why? Like, the stock's low. They think it's undervalued. That's why you do a convertible note. That part makes sense. They don't have to pay back the $500 million until 2030. That part makes sense. Buying back 125 million of stock, I don't get that part. I don't get that. Repay your Coinbase credit line. Okay, so you got to and then CapEx and acquisitions. I feel like they're trying to not sell their Bitcoin, right? They're trying to not actually sell the Bitcoin. They're trying to raise the money in a different way. And I guess that's how they're going to fund their operations. The problem is they're doing it through a convertible note, so they don't literally have to dilute shareholders right now. But the value of the convertible note is not going to the appreciation of the stock via a Bitcoin yield, which is what Saylor has been talking about, because they're not buying Bitcoin with it. They're not buying Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't fully get it. But nonetheless, the street is not happy right here. Down 3.89% currently for CleanSpark. Is Marathon down on this right now? Marathon. Does anyone get it? Does anyone think this makes sense? Does anyone understand this? Down 2.9, or Marathon's flat after hours, or up a little bit. MSTR is moving up a little bit right here at 0.39%. And then Riot. So I guess the sanctity of the strategy of the Bitcoin treasury is reserved for Riot, MicroStrategy, and Marathon. And CleanSpark's not entering the party. But they did figure out how to raise $550 million. It's just what they're doing with it seems to be very, in my opinion, counterproductive. But again, I didn't raise the money, so I'm probably wrong on what they plan to do with it. It's just a little weird. Is Broadcom down? Broadcom, yeah, it's down a little bit. It's up 2%. It was up 4%. Nothing too crazy. The call is going to really determine how investors think about Broadcom, and then tomorrow we'll see upgrades or downgrades, and that'll determine where Broadcom goes. All right, there you go. That's what they're doing with this dilution, or not the dilution, but this convertible note. Yeah, maybe if they said they were buying Bitcoin, the street would be more excited, but that's not happening right now. And look, Matt Schultz is not a stupid guy. I interviewed him a long time ago. Some of you guys watched that interview, and they sold Bitcoin at the top at 69K. I think they know it's stupid to sell Bitcoin right now, which I agree. I think Bitcoin's going higher, but see, there's a problem with the mining business. Dude, they don't have enough money to do their shit because they're a real business that has to actually operate. See, MicroStrategy doesn't have to do shit. MicroStrategy just sits back and hopes Bitcoin go up. They have expenses, obviously, but it's nothing like infrastructure, data center, energy, electricity. They don't have to do anything because they're not mining Bitcoin. They're just buying it, and they're a financial instrument and a financial vehicle to allow investors to gain access and leverage to Bitcoin. The miners actually have to do stuff. Like CleanSpark has to actually mine. Riot has to mine. Marathon has to mine. And that is advantageous if they can mine Bitcoin profitably, because then they have more Bitcoin theoretically on the balance sheet. But then if you can't do it, which is CleanSpark's admitting right now, we don't have enough money. We have to pay down our Coinbase credit line. Really? That's why you're raising from convertible notes? Yeah, that's not good. I mean, that means you just don't have enough money, or you don't want to sell Bitcoin, but that means the rest of the business is not producing enough revenue. Seems like that's the issue we got going on right now with CleanSpark. All right, I think that's pretty much it, folks. I have to leave a little early today. I know we've been doing streams like 2 hours for the market close. I have to go catch a bus to DC, so I will be there. You'll get some content tomorrow from me being at the DC Pouncer office. That'll be super cool. I'll be seeing Ileano. We will do a market open tomorrow. We will not be doing a market close tomorrow, but we will be doing a market open, and I will still be back tomorrow in the morning. Robinhood right here, slightly down after hours, 39.30, but was up 3.94% of the day. Pouncer as well, down a little bit after hours at 73, down 0.27%, but it was up about 1% of the day, 73.20. Grab is up a little bit after hours, 0.38%. MSTR is up a little bit, 0.39%. And then Tesla, good week for Tesla, even if it was down today, but still holding above 400, which is very, very exciting for Tesla. I'm using Webull. That's the app that I'm using. Webull is what I'm using. Why not market close? Well, I'm just gonna be gone on Friday. I'll be at the office. I think the Army Navy game is Saturday, but I don't know what we're doing in the evening on Friday, so that's why no close on Friday. But we will be back. Also, probably no Sunday show as well. No Sunday future show because the bus is like super late on Sunday. I'm like getting back at 11 p.m. So yeah, there's not going to be a Sunday future show. Not going to be a market close tomorrow, but we will have a market open. And we'll keep going from there. I'm not driving the Tesla to DC. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'd rather just take a bus. It's a long drive. I've been to DC many times, and the Greyhound is the easiest way to do it in my opinion. It's even better than the train. Greyhound is actually a great product. It's like $100 from Jersey. You get the Wi-Fi. It's a decent bus, and you get there pretty quick. So it's not too bad. Stream from the bus. Their Wi-Fi is not bad, bro. I got a lot of work to do on the bus. The Wi-Fi is not bad, so maybe we could one day stream from the bus as well. I'm not interviewing Carp. No, I'm not. I'm going to the Army Navy game, and I'm just getting to see the DC offices. I don't even know if Carp's going to be there, but I will not be interviewing him. Will you be releasing a tentative Amit U.S. tour schedule for 2025? Yes. So that I'm working on this weekend. Boston is definitely the first one in January. Most likely the third or fourth week. The MLK weekend, when the Monday is closed, that's probably going to be the weekend we do it. I'll be setting up the group chat for that, all that good stuff. And so Boston, whoever is near Boston, January. I want to go there on Monday, dude. I'm ready to go. I want to go back to Massachusetts. I want to go to the state that has haunted me in terms of saying its name for so long. January, that'll be out, and we'll be going there. And then we'll figure out the other states. I know Toronto's on the list, Miami's on the list, Dallas is on the list, definitely LA, the Bay Area is on the list. So we just gotta boil it down, and then Europe's gonna be there in the summer. We'll definitely do Europe for that crypto event for Robinhood in France. So we'll do a whole Europe tour in France as well. That is the goal. All right, that's it. That is it for me. NASDAQ inclusion, I think, is gonna happen tomorrow after the bell. If it does, then I guess we're gonna be missing it live, unfortunately. But if it does happen, I'll be on Twitter, definitely tweeting about it. Twitter's in the description. I think Pouncer's getting in. I don't even think it's going to be that much of a surprise. The question is, how does the stock move? That's it. Does the stock move? And part of me says, I don't know, man. It's a lot of it is baked in. The other part of me is like, you're going to get a lot of buyers coming in pretty soon. The rebalance happens on the 20th. The announcement happens tomorrow. Maybe there's a shot. Maybe there's a shot that the buyers step in before the rebalance and they front run it. And that could be a big catalyst for Pouncer. All right, so that is it. Yes, SMCI might get kicked out. SMCI, Moderna, Illumina, they might get kicked out, and MicroStrategy and Pouncer might get in. Houston, yeah, we'll have to do Houston as well. We'll come up with a schedule. We'll definitely come up with a schedule, and I will get it to you guys by the end of the year. When is Hood's Crypto France event? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's in July. I mean, I don't know. They said summer, so it could be from June, July, and August. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in July, I think like midsummer. So I'm probably going to go there for a month, bro. I'm probably going to go there or definitely for a couple weeks and get there early and explore around and all that stuff. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back for the market open tomorrow. Love you all. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully the market open was a good episode. I have a lot of emails to send out for this sheet, so I'll be trying to send that out on the bus today. So you'll probably get an email from me later tonight. You'll also get those 2 links that TJ talked about. If you missed the market open, we did an in-depth review of how do you do bankroll management on an Excel sheet that you guys can get for free if you just email amit@dailypouncer.com. I'll send you the spreadsheet, and it'll help you manage your option selling going into 2025. So I will get that out to everyone later today. All right. Thank you, everybody. Some content from DC tomorrow. It'll be fun. And we will be at the Pouncer offices. I'll be with Ileano, and you guys will be able to check it out there as well. Gene, I see you in the chat right now. Let me make you a mod as well. Got your comment right there. All right, boom. We got a bunch of new mods. We got to save the chat from the spammers now. It's becoming a lot now. So Gene, you're a mod now as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Good night. Bye, everyone.